The American dream has become a reality for many. This is the story of how an immigrant came to a foreign land and found immense success by being ambitious, bold, and above all, smart. This is the story of Hans Johnson Company. In the late 1800s, Hans Johnson, son to a farmer, made his way through Ellis Island and all the way down to Dallas, Texas, where some of his other relatives had already settled. He had other motivations for coming south, though, including his job of laying down the tracks for the Katy Railroad. After this job had been completed, however, Hans went back to Denmark, but while on his boat back, he met his wife-to-be, Erica. After being in Denmark for a while longer, both Erica and Hans decided to come back to America, and they settled in Dallas. At first he tried his luck in grocering, except when he saw no progress, he jumped rails completely and looked elsewhere for his calling.
During the late 1890s, he decided to try to get in the business, and then in 1900, he bought out a business called Bourne Cycle, and he changed the name to Hans Johnson.
Hans ironically got into the bike business at the wrong time. The newest invention of the day was the automobile, and all eyes were turned towards it. But instead of giving in to failure, Hans found a way to succeed.
During the late teens, he put in components to build automobiles in his bicycle business. And they still did the bicycles, but they got big time in the automobile business.
The company thrived with this innovative idea of selling automobile components, but it wasn't long before fate crossed hands again, this time in the form of the most devastating economic collapse ever, the Great Depression. Hans handled this disturbance well, though. He was able to pay off all debts he had accumulated over the years, and things were looking up again for the company.
In 28, they had 200 employees, and the sales were over $2 million.
Hans Johnson Company was making a great profit and continued to grow steadily through the years. The company stopped, however, distributing automobile components in the Depression years, but then started distributing locks and lock parts. In the early 50s, though, the company encountered an entirely new challenge.
My grandfather, Hans, who started the business, died in 1952. So my father, who was, he was already in control of the business, but he then had to take over the entire control of the company.
And it continued to succeed and grow. He developed a strong relationship with Schwinn Bikes, and the company benefited greatly from this. Later down the road, Howard's son, Howard Jr., was brought into the company after he had finished college early at UT. One day, a company called IBM spoke with them on the basis of them using their new device, the computer, for the business. Howard was, however, unfamiliar with this new technological format and went to his son for advice.
Talked to my father, and he said, well, I don't know anything about a computer. And he said, you're gonna have to do that by yourself. And so I talked with the salesperson with IBM, but the computer at that time was so expensive that the first thing we put in was billing equipment.
It turned out that this gamble was far more worth it than Howard could have ever imagined. The company was ahead of the game for many, many years, and when Howard Lawrence Johnson, Howard Jr.'s son, came into the business, it would seem as though he had the same spark that made his predecessors so successful. Though this time around, the new technology that they would adapt to was far more complex.
The biggest thing during my time has been the internet and the web, because when I started 20 years ago, the internet was just beginning. And so now, if you don't have an internet presence and you don't have a website and you don't work in that area, you're not going to be around very long.
Hans Johnson Co. again was able to stay afloat due to its ability to change with the times in a seamless fashion. Now in the 21st century, Howard is the CEO of Hans Johnson Company, and his son Lance, the CFO. And even though the company may not be the largest distributor out there, they still find a way to stay relevant.
We're the oldest distributor still in business in both industries. And I think part of it is the relationships. We've worked with generations of bike shops and owners, and we continue to do that, and we have the personal touch.
The company shows no signs of stopping anytime soon. With the warehouse operating on the West Coast as well as one in the East, Hans Johnson Company has found a way to expand buying power and overall national presence while still keeping the facade of a smaller company. It would seem as though they are continuing down a good track, and that the future is mighty bright for Hans Johnson Company. And to think, it all started with the ambition and steadfast intellect of a single Danish immigrant.